The greatest enemy of a speculator is not the market, nor the manipulators, nor the news of the day. It is the insidious pressure that comes from within when he has staked more than he can afford to lose. Margin, the modern term for trading with borrowed capital, is a tool of immense power. It can amplify a fortune with breathtaking speed. But it is also a poison that works on the mind. It finds the weaknesses in a man's character and magnifies them until they consume his judgment. Your account balance may tell you that you are solvent, but your own body will tell you when you are in danger. The signs are unmistakable, for they are not written on the ticker but in your own heart and soul. If you can recognize them, you can save yourself. If you ignore them, you are already lost. The first and most primal sign is insomnia. The market closes, the lights go out, but the position remains open in your mind. You will lie in bed at 3 a.m, not thinking but feeling. You will feel the weight of every share, the precariousness of your capital. The conscious mind, the one that made the trade, may be full of hope and rationalizations. But the subconscious, the ancient part of you that understands survival, knows the truth. It knows you have wagered the rent, the food, the future, on the flickering of a number. This nocturnal anxiety is the purest risk management signal in existence. I learned long ago to measure my positions not in dollars or shares, but by what I called the sleeping point. If I held a line of stock so large that the thought of it kept me from a full night's rest, I was too heavy. It did not matter if my analysis was correct or if the trend was in my favor. The position was wrong because it had compromised my ability to think clearly. A tired mind cannot make sound decisions. It is susceptible to fear in the morning and false hope in the afternoon. On the following day, without fail, I would sell down my position to the point where I knew I could sleep soundly once more. There is no shame in this. The shame lies in holding a position that has taken mastery over you. The rule is absolute. If you cannot sleep, your position is too large. It is not a suggestion, it is a command from your own biology. Sell down to the sleeping point, or the market will eventually sell you down to the liquidating point. The second sign is an obsessive communion with the price feed. In my day, this was the ticker tape, a constant stream of numbers clattering away in the corner of my office. For you, it is the screen that never sleeps. There is a vast difference between professional observation and fearful obsession. The professional watches the market to confirm his thesis. He is looking for specific signals, for changes in volume and price action that either validate his position or warn him of a turn. He can walk away. He can go to lunch. He can take a trip to clear his head, as I so often did, because he knows his stop-loss order will protect him. His trade is a calculated business risk. The over-leveraged man, however, is a prisoner. He cannot look away. Every tick of the price is either a jolt of relief or a stab of panic. He is not observing the tape. He is praying to it. He is watching not as a strategist, but as a gambler watching the final turn of a card. He reads nothing in the action except his own hope and fear. This frantic, constant quote-checking is a sign that you have lost all intellectual distance. You are no longer speculating on the market. You are begging it for mercy. You have wagered so much that you cannot afford the slightest fluctuation. This is not trading. It is self-torture. When I was trading in the old bucket shops, establishments that were essentially betting parlors for stock prices, I saw men chained to the ticker, their faces pale, their hands trembling. They were not trading large sums, but they had leveraged every dollar they had. Their fate was tied to the next print. They were not in control. The ticker was. The rule is this. If you cannot walk away from the screen for an hour and trust in your plan, you are no longer the master of your trade. The trade is the master of you. Your obsession is a confession of your fear, and your fear is a direct result of your position size. The third sign is a visceral fear of normal market fluctuations. A healthy bull market does not move in a straight line. It breathes. It advances and then it pulls back in what I have always called a normal reaction. A professional speculator understands this. He expects it. He uses these pullbacks to add to his position or to simply sit tight, knowing that the primary trend remains intact. For the over-leveraged man, a normal reaction is a catastrophe. His exposure is so great that a simple 2 or 3% dip in a stock's price translates into a 10, 20, or even 30% loss of his equity. His heart pounds. His stomach tightens. He sees not a healthy consolidation, but the beginning of the end. He is shaken out of a perfectly sound position by a market movement that should be of no consequence. I recall a time I had built an enormous line in cotton. My judgment was sound, the fundamental conditions were bullish, but my position was far too large for my capital base. Every small dip, every fractional decline that should have been ignored, felt like a mortal wound. The sheer size of my holdings magnified the insignificant into the terrifying. The pressure became unbearable. Instead of thinking about the main trend, my mind was consumed by the minute-to-minute noise. My fear was not caused by the market's action, but by my own financial vulnerability. When you are properly capitalized, you can afford to give a stockroom to move. You can sit through a normal reaction with the calm assurance of a man who knows he can withstand the storm. When you are on thin margin, you are a leaf in that same storm, tossed about by the slightest gust of wind. The rule is this: your fear is a function of your leverage. If you flinch at every minor downturn, you are not built for the position you are in. Reduce your size until the market's normal rhythm no longer feels like an earthquake. Jesse Livermore consistently stressed that Wall Street extracts a heavy cost of instruction for every lesson learned the hard way. Fortunately, the core principles he developed to survive these expensive market penalties were captured for posterity by Edwin Lefebvre in the 1923 masterpiece, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. It stands as the finest possible literary training ground, allowing you to absorb decades of painful operational experience without ever having to risk $1 of your own capital. To ensure this timeless wisdom translates accurately to the modern, computerized arena, we advise seeking out the Max Davidson Annotated edition. Davidson's careful commentary is indispensable for bridging the gap between Livermore's era and ours. A link to this essential edition is provided in the description below. The fourth sign is the feeling that you need to win on a specific trade. The market is an impersonal force. It is a vast ocean of buying and selling, and it does not know or care that you exist. It does not care about your bills, your debts, or your desire to make a quick profit. It rewards correct speculation and punishes error, nothing more. The moment a trader begins to think, "I must make money on this trade," his doom is sealed. This feeling of necessity arises from only one place: a position size so large that the loss would be unbearable. It transforms speculation from a game of probabilities into a desperate all-or-nothing gamble. I have been broke more than once in my life. I know the feeling of needing to make a stake. But my greatest mistakes invariably came when I tried to force the market to pay my bills on my schedule. I would take a position that was too large, hoping for a quick score to solve my problems. This desperation clouds judgment. You see what you want to see, not what the tape is actually telling you. You hold on to losers long past your stop, hoping for a miraculous turnaround. You take profits on winners far too early, terrified that the small gain you desperately need will vanish. Trading under this kind of pressure is impossible. The market demands a clear, cold, and calculating mind. It cannot be approached with the trembling hands of a supplicant. The rule is immutable. You must trade only when the market itself presents a clear opportunity, not when your personal ledger demands a profit. If the outcome of a single trade has a meaningful impact on your financial well-being, you are not speculating. You are praying at the altar of chance. Your neediness is a product of your leverage. The fifth and final sign is the most dangerous of all. You begin to ignore your own rules. Every successful speculator I have ever known has lived by a strict code of conduct. Cut your losses quickly. Never average down. Let your profits run. Do not fight the tape. These are not merely suggestions. They are the laws of survival. Yet leverage creates a psychological pressure so intense it can make a wise man act like an imbecile. It tempts him to bend the rules just this once. The classic example is averaging down a losing position. A trader takes a position on margin. The stock goes against him. His rule is to cut the loss at, say, 10%. But because his position is so large, a 10% loss is a devastating financial blow. It feels too real, too painful to accept. So he tells himself a story. He says, "The stock is cheaper now. It's an even better buy. I'll add more here and lower my average cost." He has just committed the cardinal sin. He is throwing good money after bad. He is not doing this because his market analysis has changed. He's doing it because the pain of realizing the initial loss on his oversized position is too great to bear. He is using new capital to justify a past mistake. I did this myself in a famous cotton trade where I was under the influence of a prominent trader named Percy Thomas. My own judgment told me the position was wrong, but the line was so immense that I could not bring myself to take the loss. I held on, hoping, listening to another man's opinion over the clear message of the tape. I violated my own hard-won principles, and the result was financial ruin. Leverage was the engine of that disaster. It made a manageable mistake into a catastrophic one. The rule, then, is the ultimate diagnostic. The moment you find yourself making an excuse to violate one of your cardinal trading rules, you are over-leveraged. The justification itself is the sell signal. It is your mind confessing that your position is too large for your discipline to control. Liquidate the position immediately, not part of it, all of it. You must save your mind before you can save your money. These 5 signs, insomnia, obsessive checking, fear of small drops, the need to win, and the abandonment of rules, are the market's early warning system. They are not technical indicators on a chart. They are biofeedback from the one instrument that matters most, yourself. Margin is a tool, like a surgeon's scalpel. In the hands of a calm, disciplined, and well-capitalized professional, it can perform wonders. In the hands of an emotional, overextended amateur, it is a weapon of self-destruction. The goal of a speculator is not to make the most money in the shortest period of time. The goal is to survive. It is to stay in the game long enough for the law of averages and the power of the great trends to make you a fortune. Survival requires capital, but more than that, it requires unimpaired judgment. And judgment is the first casualty of excessive leverage. Learn to recognize these symptoms in yourself. Be ruthlessly honest. When they appear, do not hesitate. Act decisively. Reduce your line. Protect your capital. But most importantly, protect your mind. For a man with capital and a clear head can always come back to fight another day. A man who has lost both is finished.